Hey everyone, it's Trevor with etrailer.com. Today we're going to be doing an overview and installation of our CURT Class 3 hitch on the back of our 2023 GMC Terrain. And this is going to be a great option for you. It's a 2x2 receiver, and it's also got this nice durable glossy black powder coat finish. It accepts any 5/8 standard pin, and if you don't have one, you can pick one up here at etrailer.com, and a lot of our accessories already come with these pins. So just keep an eye out for those whenever you're looking. Our safety chain loops are going to be able to easily hold a clevis hook, which means that our S hook is going to fit in there, no problems at all. Now the weight capacity on this is going to be 675 pounds of tongue weight and 4,500 pounds of gross trailer weight. For measurements, our ground clearance is pretty steep here. We're looking at about 9 inches. So just keep that in mind, and especially when you put weight on that, it's going to drop that ground clearance a little bit. So just another factor to keep in mind whenever you're picking out your accessories. And from the center of the hitch pin hole to the outside of the bumper, we're looking at 3.5 inches. So you should have no issue with anything clearing your back bumper here. Now for the installation on this, it's not too bad. You will have to enlarge a couple holes in the frame rail, which is pretty easy. They're cut through pretty smooth since the frame is pretty thin on this vehicle. But if that makes you a little bit nervous, you can always use our dealer locator tool to actually go and find a shop near you that would be able to do that for you. But if I've convinced you to go ahead and give this a try, we can go ahead and jump into the installation on this. To begin our installation, we're going to take a T15 Torx bit, and we're going to remove the 2 Torx screws on our bumper here. You have one here and then another one here. You can tell which one it is just based off these little tabs that are kind of sticking out behind it. Once we got those loosened up, we'll lower the exhaust from there. With our 15mm second, we're going to remove these 2 bolts here. They got the weld nuts on the back, that bolt head up here on the front. It's going to be a little tricky to get to, so. Now before we fully lower our exhaust down, what we're going to do is take our cam buckle strap and we're going to find a spot to place it so that it holds up our exhaust once it's lowered. And if you're at home, you can also use like a block of wood, a box, whatever you got laying around to help you hold this exhaust up to prevent any damage further along the line. Now before we get this removed, I always like to take a little bit of silicone and just spray around. We're going to be removing this rubber isolator. It just helps break it free. Once we got it sprayed down though, you can take any pry tool and kind of take it and put it behind and push forward. And if you find a good spot for leverage, like on the back of this, you can use that to kind of help you out with that. But once that's off, you can just set that off to the side, and then we're ready to lower the exhaust down. And whenever you're ready to lower your exhaust, these brackets where we pulled those 50mm bolts out, they're going to have a tab way up top. So what you'll have to do is lift up and kind of shimmy this forward a little bit to get it off that tab. And once you have it off, you can just rotate around, and then we'll kind of work it past our rear fascia here. And you'll want to kind of loosen up whatever you got holding up the exhaust while you do this so that it comes down nice and smooth. And if you have this wiring harness here, you can see on the back side there's a little push pin. All you need to do is take a trim panel tool or a flathead screwdriver and reach back there and pop that loose. You'll also want to do it to this section here as well. Now once we got that out of the way, we can go ahead and enlarge our holes and start feeding our hardware through. As you can see, it's just barely too small to fit our hardware up into the frame. So we're probably just going to enlarge it a little bit both ways and see how it fits up from there. Now to enlarge it, I'm going to be using a burr bit, but you can use burr bit, a file, a stepper bit, whatever works best for you. Now we're going to fish wire our bolts through, and I'm putting a pretty harsh bend in it just to make it a little bit easier, but we're going to start with the farthest one away, so this very front access hole. Then we're going to slide that up till we see it up there. And as you can see, even with that harsh bend, it's still pretty out of the way. So I'm going to use a pick tool to kind of bring it through the hole a little bit better. Once you got that fish wire through the access hole, just take your spacer block and feed that over the top. And once you have that on, take your carriage bolt and thread that onto here. And once you got it threaded on, push your spacer block up into place and then feed that carriage bolt through. You'll kind of have to like flip it sideways and push it through, and then you can give it a little pull and kind of shimmy it down this way. And then we'll repeat that for these two holes and then on the other side as well. Once you got everything in place, since we did cut this down to bare metal here, if you're worried about rust, you can always come back and hit it with a little bit of rust-resistant spray paint. I always recommend it just because you never want rust forming on the frame as early as possible. And now with an extra set of hands, I got Ed here today helping me. We can take this and kind of rest it on top of our muffler and then feed the fish wire through the proper holes. I always put a little bit of a bend in mind, just so make it a little bit easier with getting it fed through. And then also holding it in place whenever we're trying to get it put up. What we're gonna do is we're gonna unthread our middle one here first. This is the one I'm just thinking is gonna be the easiest to kind of hold this in place so that we can kind of maneuver around to get all the other ones on. So we're gonna unthread ours. Once you have that off, what we can kind of do is hold the hitch up, take our nut and kind of push towards the side of the hitch to kind of hold in place so we can get this first nut started. And then once we got that started, we'll go ahead and get the rest of them started and then snug them all down and torque them to specs. And we'll come back with our 19mm socket and our torque wrench and get these torqued down to specs. And now that we got the hitch in place, it's all torqued down, we're gonna go ahead and put our muffler back on in the reverse order we took it off in. And don't forget to reinstall the Torx bit bolts, as that's what's holding the fascia in place down here. With everything back in place, you can go ahead and remove your strap or boxes. And with all that done, you've installed your hitch and you're good to go. Well, I hope this video helped you out on installing your CURT Class 3 trailer hitch on the back of your 2023 GMC Terrain. My name's Trevor, and thank you for watching.